I think the first point to make, which is quite important, is New Zealand was deliberately settled.
So how did the Māori people govern? What was their history? They've been in New Zealand since the 1300s. How did they govern their communities, and what was their social structures were like, economic structures were like? What was life like for them?
I think the first point to make, which is quite important, is New Zealand was deliberately settled by Polynesians. And for a long time, it was hard for some people to accept that fact. So you get some scholars in the 19th and in the 20th century saying that the reason why New Zealand had an indigenous population was accidental, that what happened, some Polynesians were out fishing one day, they got caught in a storm, blowing several thousand kilometres across the Pacific Ocean, and then landed in New Zealand by chance, and then set up a society. Now, that's a lot of fishing vessels that have to be blown off course in storms. You have to question why would these communities send out vessels in storms? But even if that was true, there's one major problem, of course, is that most Polynesian societies, only men went fishing. So even if they did blow off course and get sent several thousand kilometres across the sea, they're not going to reproduce as a community. So it took a while for some people to accept that this was a deliberate planned migration. And it was migration that lasted roughly for about 200 years.
Wow.
So vessels were going back and forward across thousands of kilometres of ocean. It was a major undertaking at a time when in Europe navigation wasn't nearly as well developed. One of the sad things about that, of course, is that for some reason that we don't know, the migration stopped around 1300, 1350, and the knowledge of that migration was largely lost. So this is an intentional community, but it was intentionally settled, and that at a certain point, after about 200 years of going back and forward, the migration stopped.